There was no sound, no warning. He bounded from the darkness and was on me like a panther. A long arm snaked out and coiled around my waist. It clamped down on me like a vice. In a flash, his other arm snatched the loose cords of my housecoat and whipped them upward. With blinding speed, he lashed the cords around my throat 3 times and yanked hard. I gasped in agony. Tonight we are shipping up to Boston.
Whoa.
Well,
we're going to Boston's Back Bay. Does anybody know where that's at?
Sure do.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about it.
I mean, it's, it's downtown.
I mean, is it nice?
It is now.
What about in the 60s?
I wasn't alive in the 60s, but...
yeah, dodgy at best.
All right, this is Boston's Back Bay. So let's see, because I kind of want to see it. The woman we're talking about tonight lived in a really nice apartment, but this was in 1963 where we're going.
Okay.
So I don't know how much it's changed. So we're not going to a big condominium like this. It seems like in the story, and I couldn't find the address, but it seemed like maybe a little condo, 3 or 4 people living there. And I'm sure it wasn't like this in the 60s. I'm sure there wasn't as many buildings, but this is Back Bay, and apparently I thought it was really nice, but you guys say it's not, so I don't know.
No, it is nice. I mean, anything in Boston is crazy expensive.
Yeah, I bet. January 15th, 1963 is where we're starting tonight. This is Boston's Back Bay. It's a large brown stone home. There are multiple people that live in this home, but also who lives at this home is a Miss Muriel Maclachlan and her husband. Now, they're both elderly, and you'll see a picture of her, 70-ish. What do you think? Looking at the newspaper there?
Yeah.
70-ish elderly couple in Boston's Back Bay, January 15th, 1963, 1 a.m. The doorbell rings on this apartment. Now, this is, like I said, 1 a.m. It wakes Muriel from her slumber. She gets up, not really thinking too much about it, and she walks down the hall of this apartment. She gets out of bed, she walks down the hall, she goes to the intercom, and this is what she says.
Who's there?
Telegram, ma'am.
This kind of reminds me of the SNL bit where he's like the shark, and she's like, hello, and he's like, candygram, and then he comes in and he like shark attacks. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
No, but it sounds like a great skit and very.
It was one of the
this.
in one of the first season or second season.
All right, so Lauren, since you kind of spoiled it.
Way to go.
Spoiler alert.
All right, tonight we're doing a survival story. I'm going to go ahead and show you the paper because I'm super excited. I just got this in, and you guys are going to effing love the cover of this newspaper. It's from 1963. It's an exclusive interview with a survivor, and it's really well written, and we're going to go through her entire story, but let me show you this paper.
What does it say on the bottom? So it's from the National Enquirer?
Before the National Enquirer was all about the Queen and Camilla.
So that's actually her, right?
This is a 100% true story from her. She is a survivor. I did double check plenty of times, but this is her on the front page, and she survived, and they basically made her reenact what she went through.
That's pretty terrible.
I mean, what the hell, dude?
I don't know. It seems on brand for National Enquirer even back then.
That's her, man. And she had to reenact. And this happened a month before. So this is it. National Enquirer.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Look at her face, dude. I mean, they made her redo that. What is wrong with those people, dude?
I wonder
real.
if they made her like
Anything
put her
to
same
sell
outfit
paper.
on and everything.
Yeah, they did.
That's-
They made her put her. That's her same outfit. That leopard bathrobe is the same fucking outfit.
You can probably find her bathrobe on eBay too. You can get anything on eBay.
This story is a true crime gem right here, man. No one's going to recover this like this, I can promise you, because you would have to have access to this paper. Telegram, ma'am. The husband of Miss Muriel Maclachlan calls from his room. He has his own room as they did back in the day. Who is it? Muriel walks down. She finds the coat rack. She puts on her leopard house coat and she calls back up to the husband. It's a telegram. And at this point, she knows he's probably already back asleep. It doesn't matter. She goes through the living room. She unlocks the wrought iron gate that is between the music room and the hallway. Like, this isn't just a regular apartment. This is a really nice townhome where this is happening, right?
By the way, brownstones are like super expensive now in Boston.
Oh, yeah.
Like super duper expensive.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, what about where we were just at on Google Earth? Like, what's a brownstone? I don't know.
A brownstone, they're like townhomes. You kind of similar to like when you like go to Brooklyn or the Bronx. Like you have like all the townhomes on the street, except they're brick. They're made out of brown brick, so they call them brownstones. But they used to be housing for the people who couldn't afford like individual houses, but now they're like,
maybe this was it.
Probably.
Maybe it's the same thing.
Well, yeah,
but,
I mean, they're all over Boston.
And they could have been divided, so it could have been, one apartment per floor, or you could have the whole brownstone and have all 3 floors, like if you were, wealthier type of a thing.
Well, I think in my mind, I was just assuming she was wealthy because I've never been up there, and she's talking about unlocking the wrought iron gate between her music room, and she's putting on a leopard house coat. Like,
definitely could be, yeah.
So she calls up to the husband. It's just a telegram. He's already back asleep. Doesn't matter. She looks outside the front window to the street, and it was dark. The hallway light provided a little bit of illumination, lighting up the outside, but where she has to go is outside and to the mailbox, which is just a sharp right, and the mailbox is right there, but still, she's outside. So she unlocks the door, walks out, down the steps. She calls out, hello? Who's there? Anybody? At this point, she's like, well, this telegram guy probably just left it in the mailbox. That's what you do. You just leave it in the mailbox. So she's walking over to the mailbox. She calls out again, no answer, and she steps up to the mailbox, and that is when this phantom, as they were calling him during the day, this phantom strangler steps out of the dark shadows and pounces on her like a leopard. Like the leopard bath coat she's wearing, this guy pounces on her. She is in this bathrobe. It is freezing outside. It is 1 a.m. in the morning. Nobody's awake. And now you have this man that just overcame her.
Wow.
So can you read the first one there? Now, all of this is from this newspaper, but we're going to go through the whole story.
He had huddled in the very dim corner of the small outer hallway to my right. I saw this dark figure lunge toward me like a wild beast. Before I knew what had happened, his right arm had shot around my waist. He tightened it in a powerful grip, his fingers biting into my flesh.
This maniac jumps out, pulls Muriel close to him with his arms like a bear hug. At the same time, he reaches down and grabs both of the dangling cords that, you have on a nightgown. Mm-hmm. It's like the belt.
Yeah, the tie.
Loop. What's it called?
Like the belt loop things?
No, it's not like belt loop, but it's just like the belt.
The belt itself. Okay.
Yeah, so the dangling belt on both sides, he grabs it instinctively, almost as he's done it quite a few times. And he pulls her as close as he can to himself, and then he takes those cords and he starts wrapping them around her neck.
Then he yanked on the cords. A scream died in my throat as he did so. My eyes began to bulge and they rolled upward, and for the first time, I saw part of his face.
Now, this is all happening at supersonic speed here. She was just in a dream. She wakes up and now she's in a literal nightmare. She walks out, this guy pounces, and now her own bathrobe is being used to strangle her to death. And it's not just one time around the rosy. This guy, as hard as he can, wraps both left and right side of the bathrobe belt around her neck 3 times. 3 times.
That's excessive.
And just pulls it.
Dang.
So this is not good for Muriel at this point because this happened so quickly. Now this bathrobe is around her throat. She doesn't even have time to scream or say anything. Like 1 second she's walking to the mailbox. The next second she is completely incapacitated, can not even call out for help. We know that she survived this. I kind of already told you that. She would say that this man, known as the Phantom Strangler, had a slouched hat, like a bowler hat, one of those old-timey 50s hats, right?
Mm-hmm. Like Charlie Chaplin.
He had this hat that he slouched over part of his left side. So his face isn't visible. Like his hat, I'm doing it with my hat, is like this. He is trying to obscure his face. It's the same as wearing a mask, I guess. Like he's trying to obscure his face, leaving only one eye open so he can do what he needs to do. His right eye, now this is coming from Muriel, his right eye in the dimness of the night with the scant illumination from the hallway light, it looked, quote, big and dreadful. It gleamed brightly. You could see all the way through the eye. And we cover a lot of killers where the survivors talk about seeing inside the eye. And you know what's in there? What they're actually looking at? Nothing. There's nothing in there. But what it really is, it's just evil. It's darkness. You can't see anything because it's not visible. They always talk about the eyes, how frightening the eyes. It's like you're staring right through them and no one's on the other side. Anyway, he stared at her. The other eye was covering and this one was bulging. He's got this, like Ted Bundy, just a sex maniac. It just overtakes him. And his eye is bulging out almost as big as her eyes are. It reminds me of Poe's tale, The Telltale Heart. And I put this little quote in there. What she's seeing now reminded me of this story. He says, quote, it was open, wide open. I saw it with perfect distinctness, it with a hideous veil over it. It chilled the very marrow in my bones. I can imagine that's what she's going through right now, as she's just seeing this eye just pulsating at her, right? It's only now, and this is only seconds later, because this all is happening in real time at supersonic speed, but she is dying. She is getting overcome and she is dying, but it is only now, not even 1 minute has passed.
Wow.
That she realizes the gravity of her situation. Because like every female, especially, like everybody in Boston in the 60s, when this was happening, everyone knew about the Phantom Strangler who had claimed 9 women. Nine women, just like Muriel. 9 women in 6 months, just like this. And now, guess what? She is going to be the 10th victim because all 9 women are deceased and she's the 10th. So she knows that. She knows there are no survivors.
Wow.
Not only that, he's perfected this. It's going to be hell for her to get through this. Now, this was special to him because it's the 10th, man. This is the double digit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's practiced this and perfected it. He's been waiting for this moment. That's why he tied that rope around her throat 3 times so quickly. I mean, he perfected it.
So he didn't bring something to strangle her with? What are the chances that she would be wearing a bathrobe?
You don't think he's been staking her out knowing that she wears bathrobes?
I was going to ask that if that was part of his MO to like use an accessory on the women, or if he ever used his hands, or if he ever brought something to strangle them with. I
need to be very clear. I'm not starting a new part series on a serial killer. I had never done the story of who we all know as the Boston Strangler. I've never done that story, so I can't comment on his MO. I'm specifically covering this story as a victim. I did not look into all that stuff. I'm focusing on this.
Okay.
That's fair.
So this was special to him because this is 10th. Now, he already knew that Muriel would answer the door alone. He also knew that she would don that leopard bathrobe that she loved so much. He also knew this moment would be exactly like it is right now. Everything is going smoothly. Everything is happening according to my plan. He knows all this stuff. She knows her husband is upstairs already back asleep. She knows there's only two people, God and this phantom strangler, that would witness her die on her doorstep. But Muriel also knew that God wasn't ready for her yet. So she is going to fight back. She's determined not to be a victim of this man, of this phantom that everyone is scared about. Crazy, right?
Yeah.
I looked up a little bit of Muriel's background in other newspapers, and she does go by Alexandra as well. I found it very interesting that she was a very accomplished playwright, like a theater.
Oh, interesting.
She's real well known for that and her singing, not opera, but what I'm trying to get at is when you're doing theater, voice work, and you have to project your voice without a microphone in front of you, you do several techniques to strengthen that. This is what she had, because she doesn't have a weapon and she is overpowered. She has one chance to break away from this guy. That is to call out. But here's the problem. Her bathrobe is literally wrapped around her neck 3 times, and it is getting tighter and tighter every millisecond. You're not going to be able to scream out. No way. No way, no sir, you cannot scream. But she knew she had no effing choice. It was either this or be the next victim and be in the newspaper the very next morning. When they throw the newspaper at the apartment, they're going to throw that newspaper with her on the front page, deceased, right on her apartment step. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
She knew she had to scream. She also knew it was nearly impossible to, but she decided to try it. There's 3 things that she needs to do in order to get a successful scream out. Now, this Boston Strangler, this Phantom Strangler, would not expect a scream to come out, so it would definitely throw him off guard. She knew she had to stabilize her neck, and this helps balance out the force so she can actually get those vocal cords loose and produce that powerful scream. Put her back into it. She needs to engage her back muscles to decelerate the movement and also balance out that force of the scream. Also, bending your knees. You bend and then you project. Bending your knees, flexing your hips provide a mechanical advantage for explosive movement.
That makes sense.
Similar to athletes that are jumping, they're explosive.
Yeah.
If she can bend her knees a little bit and then explode up, she could get that scream out of her throat.
Or like when you're lifting weights and like when you're trying to you get into the stance where you can expel that energy.
Yeah. At this point, her air is being cut off and that tourniquet is tightening. However, she knows she needs to make her neck large and bulked out so it can expand it so she can get out a scream. Her eyes that were bulging out of her skull begins to suck back into her skeleton, and her throat belled over, and all of a sudden a scream of 1,000 desperations shot from her core that could be heard for miles. A scream of screams. Now, obviously, the Phantom Strangler did not expect this to happen.
He was probably really shocked.
Yeah.
You know?
Very shocked.
Maybe peed his pants a little bit, went deaf in that ear.
A vocal explosion. He releases the grip just that tiny little bit where she can ratchet her right arm up.
That would be a good name for a glee club. Vocal explosion.
What would?
Oh, yeah. She ratchets her arm up, extends it over his eyeballs. Now, she's got them long nails. Those nails look real good in that leopard bathrobe. You know, I can imagine they're painted and everything. She just scrapes down this guy's face like you're scraping down a chalkboard.
Oh.
Can you read her own words?
I raked it down the side of the strangler's face. My nails dug deep into his flesh.
At this point, he doubles down. He's bleeding his eyes, and it would take obviously a few months before the next victim. Is
Heal.
he is disfigured. His blood, his own blood was filling up his eyeball.
Ew.
But he knew he had to win this fight.
She's seen his face.
Exactly. She's seen his face, yeah.
So
plus she's elderly. I mean, come on, you know?
I imagine that would kind of hinder him from even going out into public if he's has a huge gouge on his face.
Yeah.
I wonder if did that help identify him to the police?
You
I said you didn't do that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I wanted to focus just on this, and then because I haven't even done H.H. Holmes, and like I don't want to get into another Manson situation where
you're so close to finishing Holmes. You're so close.
Where I do a Manson episode, but don't even include Charles Manson in the episode. People think I'm like on fucking crack or something.
Jen, were you here when we were talking about the Manson and Natasha was like, my son's almost going to be 2 and she went into labor when we were recording the first.
Oh my God. No, I wasn't there for that. But I do remember like her saying that she was about to go into labor.
Yeah, she went in labor when we were recording live.
Yeah. And the episode didn't even include
She's like, yeah, he's almost 2 now.
He's just keeping him hanging on for those who want to listen to Manson.
Maybe his 2nd birthday, maybe his 18th birthday.
Yeah. Maybe 21st. We'll give he can do a surprise shot with us.
Yeah, there you go.
That's why I had to put a disclaimer out that this does not mean I'm covering this story.
Let's set the expectations low.
Yeah. All right. At this point, he knows that he needs to finish this off because she can't identify him. And guess what? And like I said, this is all happening in real time,
son.
Real fast. That scream woke up Boston. The lights are coming on. That scream done did it. So he needs to finish this and finish it right now. So what he's going to do is he's going to double down. He's going to use both hands and pull that rope belt that's attached, that is spun around her neck, pull it down towards him, making a low profile. Then he's going to try to distance himself, right? Because, you know, like when you're really trying to tug something down, you get kind of low to the ground, center of gravity, and you just, he's trying to pull with all his might. He wants that head to pop off. That's the ultimate goal, right?
Oh, he wants to decapitate her?
I mean, he's just trying to choke her out. He's so close to choking her out.
Oh, yeah.
It was a, quote, locked embrace. That's what Muriel says. As he pulls down, she falls towards him.
He still held me tight in his clutching arm, and in his other hand was tugging fiercely at the noose he had made around my neck. It got tighter and tighter. By now, my head was throbbing, my neck was aching, and I was numb with fright. He never said a word all that time, but he kept up a low growl like a cornered beast in the jungle.
That's crazy. That's that.
She's very poetic. With her.
I know. I mean, look at what she did. She reenacted it. Oh, reenacted it a month later. Like, what the fuck? I mean, we got to make this look real, so I am going to have to... What the fuck? Holy
I
guess they really weren't concerned with, like, victims' PTSD.
Holy shit.
I don't think that PTSD was, like,
was a thing
as a big deal, as much of a big deal as it is now.
It had not been renamed from shell shock.
Holy shit, man. That's nuts.
What's up, Brandon? Good to see ya.
What's up, Brandon? So, at this point, she's going to claw again. She's got to try to claw because that worked, at least for a second. Now, at this point, and she says she doesn't know where this came from. Maybe this was her guardian angel or whatever. But at this point, she knows how she can break this guy's grasp. It just comes to her.
Kick him in the balls.
He is pulling down and she is clawing. And as God is her witness, with every ounce of energy she had, she just falls backwards. She pulls him off he's kneeling down. She pulls him back up. It was like a big wind started blowing at the same time, and she's now pulling him towards her. And it's just chaotic. She falls back. His body follows her like an intimate dance. A couple every step, every iota of movement in perfect sync. And once she reaches that lowest point where where she has the most control, she's going to unleash hell. Now, if you were to describe someone's biggest achievement in one moment of their life, it is this one. She bounces back like she's on a trampoline and she is about to deliver an enormous blow. She knows exactly where to hit this guy.
When I clawed him, he moved more toward the front of me, and I was able to put into action what I must have had in my mind all the time. I brought up my right knee and kicked him in full force in his groin. He squealed like a pig. He fell back, doubled over, and let loose a horrible sounding snarl. That's what I would do.
For women, if you're ever being in a situation where you are even uncomfortable or someone's grabbed you or whatever, make it your mission to go for those gonads. Because I don't care who you are. I'll give someone $1 million if they can withstand getting kicked in the balls and not kill over and their whole world is just focused on the pain. It is excruciating. So grab them, kick them, cut them off, do whatever you can. They'll know that you're trying to grab those things. And I'm telling you, it will change everything if you can get them. Everything will be changed. Just like this. He squealed like a pig. This is the guy who has been terrorizing Boston. This is the Phantom Strangler. This is the guy who can never be caught. This is the ghost in the night. He is immortal. But this immortal is squealing like a pig. He falls back and doubles over and let loose a horrible sounding snarl. He turned and stumbled, still bent over. He keels over. He goes to the outer door. He stumbles some more. He falls into the bushes. He's trying to get away. Muriel falls back on the inner door, quote, sick, exhausted. My neck was throbbing painfully, end quote. This is the most pain she has ever experienced in her life. But this is the important thing. But
I was still screaming.
Still screaming. Moments later, a doctor and his wife who were upstairs rushed down. The husband rushes down. And Muriel, when she did this interview, quote, he's still roaming the streets of Boston, end quote. Now, he kind of wasn't caught. He admitted it pretty much on his deathbed. But everyone knows who he is now. This is very powerful. The end of the article, this is what she ends with. And I think this is powerful. And this is verbatim what she says.
I shake all the time now because I know I was just a breath away from being the latest victim of this monster. And that only by kicking and clawing him did I escape being his 10th victim. I'm the only woman he's ever attacked and left alive.
Miss Muriel Maclachlan, the 10th victim, survived. What do you think?
Damn, that was crazy.
This is the paper that we're reading this interview from. This is Muriel.
In her leopard print robe.
Boston's Phantom Strangler, which is known as the Boston Strangler, killed of 9 women, attacked Mrs. Muriel Maclachlan. On January 15th, she relives her terror for you in another Inquiry exclusive. Holy shit. Pretty crazy, right?
That's I mean,
yeah,
I still
pretty
can't
crazy.
believe that they made her reenact that.
I know. It's
the
crazy.
National Enquirer, so I guess I can believe it, but
you see it right here.
I know those pictures.
This is what we you see what she says, like, but by kicking and clawing him I escaped. Kind of crazy, right? Yeah.
What a great newspaper and what a good find.
Right.
Yeah. So all right, well, we'll be back tomorrow. Thanks, guys, for staying on, man. And we'll see you. So until next time, good night, you lovely, lovely people.
Kind of run this shit.